Burn him.
Hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classes of Cinematics, and I'm joined as always with my co-host, Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo, yo, yo!
Yeah, folks, we got an interesting film today. We're going to be talking about Ernest Goes to Jail from 1990. And in this family comedy, Dim-witted Ernest is a janitor at a bank who gets called for jury duty. It turns out that the murderer, defendant, Felix Nash, is a dead ringer for Ernest. Nash's lawyer arranges a switch, and Ernest finds himself on death row while Nash goes to work at the bank, scheming up a way to rob it. Ernest then sets in motion a plan to escape jail, foil Nash's plot, snag the bank clerk job he covets, and rescue his favorite teller, Charlotte. This film is directed by John R. Cherry, and it stars Jim Varney as Ernest P. Worrell in this film. We also got Bill Burge, Garland Sartain, Barbara Tyson, Dan Legend, and Barry Scott, as well as Randall Craig Cobb, I say, who make up our main cast in this film.
Yeah.
But before we get into this, I want to just discuss Jim Varney as a person in general. Jim Varney actually worked as an ad man. This is crazy. So this whole Ernest character was invented, by him, for his company to help sell products locally.
Yeah.
And he would run these ads with this character.
Hey, Vern, look what I found in my daddy's closet. I bet you this is from the big one. WW2. I know, because I never miss Hogan's Heroes on WDBJ7.
So it's crazy to me how this guy parlayed that into doing films, man. So this guy, it became so popular doing these local commercials. They said that larger, more national companies and brands would try to recruit him, but a lot of these contracts he had locally preventing him from doing most of those jobs, but he still got significant work with companies as big as Pepsi and checks, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, how that would lead him to, this film career. It's nuts.
And then also that commercial career ended up locking him into a 4-movie deal with TriStar, which made this one, where you got, initially you got Ernest Goes to Camp, then Ernest Saves Christmas, then Ernest Goes to Jail, and then closing out the 4-way is Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah. He also ended up having a TV show, kind of like a variety sketch show that you won a daytime Emmy for. So that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, this guy was super talented. Unfortunately, he did pass away. When I looked at I was like, only 50 years old, but yeah, he was a heavy smoker and he passed away from lung cancer. So heed the warnings, folks.
Yeah.
But let's get into this movie, man. This is a family comedy film. I remember seeing this with my family back in the day at the 99-cent theater. We had a blast watching this film, man. It's a crazy story, so let's get into that, man.
Well, what I like about this story most, this one does fall in as my favorite Ernest film of the 4. Ernest Saves Christmas is a very close second, but what I like about this one is it kind of stretches the character dynamic and the story plot enough where that it's appealing and all the way fun for children, but then also tolerable for adults. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the first two, Ernest Goes to Camp and Ernest Saves Christmas, you can tell it's geared mainly towards children, and that's okay. But with this one, you get Ernest P. Worrell. He's a nighttime janitor at the bank, and he's shooting for the stars because he wants to end up getting promoted to be a bank clerk. In his mind, that is making it to the top of the mountain. So the simplicity of this character is what really makes him just so likable. It's so fun to watch.
He's definitely blue collary, man, and it's weird because he's this guy that, you can see he's trying to do his best, but some kind of way he keeps messing up. He's like a can't get right, type of guy,
Yeah. And the thing of it is too, when it comes to, Ernest as a whole, he's got this, like, he's an imbecile. Yes. But he's harmless.
Yeah.
And like a klutz. I mean, he's like everything that, like all the flaws that people might have spread out over a group of individuals, he's got them all wrapped up in one, but he's so confident and secure in himself, which yet again, it helps him navigate through these just absurd situations.
He's
in the
oblivious.
best way.
He's more oblivious than malevolent. It feels like he's not a guy that's trying to, cause harm. He just
Absolutely.
doesn't know. And it's funny too, because I like when we get when we see other characteristics of his character. We'll talk about those later. Yeah. But as far as the story was interesting in this, he's at his job, he's trying to move up, but he's messing up, so he's not going to get the promotion. But it ends up happening. He ends up getting a jury duty detail.
Only person in the world who was excited to get called for jury duty. Yeah. He almost threw a party when he got the envelope. I was like, dude, yeah man,
it's wild. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah, most people try to avoid that, or they try to find a way to get out of it. But it's funny. So during the course of that, the defendant on the trial recognizes that he looks like his fellow inmate who's up for death row, so he comes up with this crazy idea. He's like, yo, if I swap Ernest out with my guy, get my guy on this jury to get me off, and that'll be great.
And then the other dude gets off in the death row, and then
it's a ridiculous scheme. But for the movie, I'm gonna let it cook, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then it's just like, it's funny how for this film all the stars align, because the dude who gets out of jail who looks like Ernest just so happens to be a bank robber and picks up Ernest's job working at the bank. So bang bang, and then Ernest
is in jail trying to survive,
trying to survive. But then also because of his kind nature and just the way that he befriends all these hardened criminals. Ooh. They all get a soft spot for him. And, and it's funny because, like I said, this one, you get, this film is oversaturated with that Ernest P. Worrell charm, which is great. But then you still kind of have, get a little bit of courtroom drama. You get a little bit of, almost like Escape from Alcatraz with Ernest trying to find his way to escape out of jail. And then you still got a little bit of a heist situation going on with Nash trying to rob the bank. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it covers a lot of ground almost seamlessly. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just all this crazy, absurd, funny, over the top stuff that's going on.
A lot of slapstick too. I think is cool, man. Like you don't see that so much now with comedies. The slapstick element. I feel like that faded with maybe the mid to late '90s. We got a little taste around. Nutty Professor kind of came back, but it's mostly gone, man. From comedies that I see, make it major. There'll be moments, but this thing it's almost every scene has a slapstick element in there,
Well, and the slapstick not only it enhances the character arc, but it adds to the simplicity. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it shows that this dude is a walking ball of chaos. You know what I mean? But it's in a fun way. You know what I'm saying? So that really works. And then as we cruise through the story, pretty much. Everything that is wrong finds a way to go right because, Ernest, even though he is just a grade A klutz, he finds a way to almost trip across the finish line and win the race. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's an interesting character, man. I feel like, but let's get into that a little bit, man, because his character is nuts to me, man. He's almost like a alternate universe Pee Wee Herman in a way to me, dude.
Like you said, you just picked my brain. You just picked my brain.
It's crazy. I think Pee Wee Herman's probably a little more higher on the douche meter. He's like but they kind of have this same. They're almost like men, children. And even when we look at their homes, I'm like, yo, this guy could be running a lab at DuPont, inventing new shit or whatever. Yes. But cause he's that smart. Like when you go to his house, he's got the same kind of gadgetry as a Pee Wee Herman, or you would think of Data from the Goonies house looks like this. Yes. Just with all these cool, neat inventions that he's come up with himself. Meanwhile, he's got to be stuck at this bank. Like taking shit from people.
And he also doesn't give himself credit where credit is due. And also, like you said, the only thing I'm going to say, because you already covered it, the only thing where, Ernest and Pee Wee are kind of parallel, it's almost like the same as Pepsi and Coca-Cola. You got some that prefer Pepsi, some prefer Coke. Because, like I said, their comedy styles are so similar.
They both got dogs.
Yeah, they both got these just crazy houses. Yeah. They just dress a little different. It's like almost like the only thing that separates them is where they were brought up, like their location. Like Ernest would probably be a little more like like on the redneckish side of things. You know what I'm saying? But
he's more blue collar too, man. I feel like Pee Wee's parents came for money. We never see Pee Wee Herman's parents, but I feel like they bought him that house and they don't even want to deal with him. Like, here, just live. We'll pay the bills.
You won't never see Ernest in the Pee Wee suit. You know what I'm saying? Ernest in that denim vest all day. You know what I mean?
But it's funny because he goes to prison and he still
And
has the
still
hat
got
on
the vest.
with the outfit. I'm like, yo, this is not. They're not going to let you wear the hat.
Dude, yes.
I know some prisons let you wear your own gear, but they're not going to let you wear a hat.
Yeah, exactly. Just because it matches the ensemble. And I love it because, you know, it shows Ernest when he's scrolling through his closet, and he's got like 85 outfits, same exact outfit, you know.
man.
You know, but yeah, you know, the thing about this where Jim Varney kind of really earned his chops, or like respectively, is this is the only film where he gives us a dual character on the same
I do
screen.
appreciate that.
And
yeah,
you know,
he's playing two characters. Like, y'all, we getting hyped for Sinners, but don't think Michael B. Jordan invented that.
No. Yeah, so with Varney giving us Ernest P. Worrell, but then also giving us Felix Nash, and it is like the complete alter ego to what we get from Ernest, where Nash is, I mean, he's all the way badass. He got the hair slicked back, got the super smoker voice going on. He's a no-nonsense criminal. I mean,
like, where's my money?
Yeah, even though he's on death row and got maybe like a month to live, he's still calling all the shots. He's bucking with the COs. He bucks with the warden. He don't give a about nothing. Nobody, you know, he even tells the guy,
he's on death row.
Yeah,
what's there to lose?
But you still running stuff as if you're gonna live forever. I mean, and it's really cool in seeing Varney portray himself in that kind of likeness. But then what really excels,
as silly as this movie is, I think that is highlighted this because this is a complete transformation. They're totally different characters. They talk different. They look different with his facial expressions, and they move different. You know, so that's kind of for an actor that's never acted really. That's got to be a real conscious decision, and it takes a high skill level to be able to make it work. Make it look convincing. Yeah.
And this, like I said, this is the first film where he did that, and I love how they really lean into it as well. Because like when Ernest first realizes he's in jail, like of course, you know, being behind bars, having, you know, the complete wardrobe change, seeing all the guards, all that stuff, it didn't click for him. It's when the guard finally told Ernest, "Yo, if you keep acting this way, we're gonna put you in the hole." It finally clicked, and then he's trying to explain to the CO. He's like, "Look, man, I'm Ernest." You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Well, you know," he was like, "No, you're Nash, man." He was like, "No, we must just look alike." And the guard's like, "You mean to tell me that there's someone who looks just like you?" And Ernest is like, "Yeah, you know, I can't help it that there's another well-groomed, fine-looking handsome criminal like me." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just he's so oblivious, but leaning into it, and then it's wild.
It's stupid because then he's like, "Oh my God, I'm in prison."
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold up, but dog, you went through all of this. You didn't.
You went through all of these fire hoops. And the thing is then, like, you see how Ernest is changing the way people view Nash in jail, but then Nash is changing the way people view Ernest out of it. Like, you know, his little interest at work, like Nash is completely different. Bro. He's very misogynistic, very aggressive with her. You could tell he just got out because he's like, he's on the prowl. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, like the two, Chuck and Bobby, like he's having, you know, different interactions with them, and they kind of like, especially Bobby's like, "Man, I don't know, man, I don't trust this dude. He's acting different."
Bobby's one of my favorite characters. He doesn't say anything, but his face, hold up, who plays him? That's Bobby.
Bill Burge.
Bill Burge, man. So this is Ernest's job, you know, his other co-workers. They're the security guards. You know, it's a private security company made of two guys. Chuck and Bobby. And Chuck is the leader, man. You know what I'm saying? By default. He actually, I think he's also Vern's boss by default, because I think they're the ones that got Vern this contract. He's kind of part of their contract too, because the way Chuck is, you know, moving them around. But, Ernest, but Bobby is his, co-worker, the other security guard. Bobby don't say nothing. He just got a big pistol. And he's suspicious. He don't trust nobody. It's so funny watching his interactions, man. Like, I love his target practice because he's small, he's older, he's skinny, and this gun is bigger than him, and he shoots that joint. It's like, like every time he's got a, I think we was doing that in school after we saw this when this came out. We were making fun of doing the Bobby face.
And then of course, you know, you got Gaylor Sertan as Chuck, and like he is just as idiotic as everybody else in this movie, but he has that sense of leadership.
You know what's great as a movie trope, and Chuck is the epitome of this, the confident dummy.
Yes, like, he is, and like and it's funny because like you can tell of the three of them with himself, Bobby, and Ernest, like he definitely feels like the leader, and you know, he's always trying to call the shots. But it's wild because once Nash comes out, he starts doing this thing with Nash where he keeps smacking him in the back of the head. Like you know, you never seen him smack Ernest. No. But, so it's kind of like even though they want to believe that because this is Ernest, they kind of feel like it's not. Ernest
is an idiot, but he knows the system. He's smacking
Nash because
Nash doesn't really know what's going on. Like it's funny because if it wasn't for Chuck and Bobby, I don't know what would have happened to Nash because they grab him as soon as he comes out of court and they're like, "Yo, come on, man, we got to go to work."
Yeah,
and like so, and that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, because Nash wouldn't have known where Ernest lives, where Ernest's job was. He wouldn't have known any of that. He would just been out of there,
floating aimlessly with no ID, just bumbling around, just all denimed out. But you know, one thing I do like about Chuck and Bobby is they also show us, like I said, that they are on the same wave as Ernest, because when we first are introduced to them in the very beginning of the film, you know, they hear something going on in the bank. They think they're going to investigate a robbery, and their way to go investigate is by playing red light, green light.
Oh my God!
To go investigate.
Yo, when Bobby hits the wall, he's like,
he's like, all right, green light. You know,
I was like, bro, come on, son.
Like, you know, and then that leads us into one of my favorite slapsticky scenes is where Ernest got the floor polisher and it like just drags them all through the bank, and then you know. Only in an Ernest film will getting electrocuted turn you into some version of Magneto.
But X-Man.
He does do that, and he does it well. You know what I'm saying? Like they lead with that. You see all the paper clips and all the bank equipment, kind of like sticking to him. But then at the end, of course, when he does get put on death row, he gets electrocuted by the electric chair, and it turns him into a full-on superhero. He's shooting electricity out, and
that was definitely. I'm getting flashbacks, man, of being a kid and imitating some of these scenes. Because when he shoots through the legs, he's like shooting the lightning.
Yeah,
he's like
doing trick. Yeah, pew, pew, pew. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was smelling his biscuits.
Silly,
you know,
man.
and I also, you know what, got to shout out Randall Tex Cobb as pretty much the henchman Lyle.
And he's like a career henchman, bro.
Yeah, that's all he is in all movies. And you could tell, like, when Nash was running the show, he was straight muscle. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say nothing. He led with his actions. He was an intimidator and enforcer. But then with Ernest is like slowly peeling back those layers, almost to the point where you can see in Lyle's face that it's almost paining him that Ernest has been put in place of Nash because he doesn't deserve it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, Lyle just being such a stand-up criminal, you know, convict or whatever. Like, when Ernest does break out, he blasts a hole into the wall.
That was a little tender moment.
Lyle was like, come on, Lyle, you can go free. He's like, no, jail's the place for me.
Because Ernest, for some reason, he hasn't picked it up, or he doesn't know that Nash is sentenced to death. So the warden is like, yeah, you're out of here tomorrow. And Ernest is like, oh, I get to go home.
Go home in 24 hours.
And my man,
Lyle.
He knows that he's getting sentenced to death, and it's bugging him. And it's funny how it's a little cheesy, but I also felt that moment because he's like, oh yeah, man, I can't wait to go do this. And then Lyle, like, he gets mad. He's like, he kicks the chair over and walks out the room because he's grown to like Ernest so much now. And he's like, man, this guy's innocent. He doesn't know anything about this. You know, like, damn.
And, you know, another character I just want to shout out real quick is Charles Napier. He is the warden. And it's funny because when Ernest is first trying to get his guff and he's doing all the impressions of all the different people, like trying to get his jail voice on, he does do an impression of Sylvester Stallone. He's like, yo, Murdoch. And Charles Napier, he has a role in Rambo Part 2. So it's funny that I want to say, did he play Murdoch in Rambo Part 2?
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's also funny because that leads to how this film initially got made after the success of Ernest Saves Christmas. Mm-hmm. Sylvester Stallone's Lockup just came out in '89, and for somehow, some way, the Ernest producers found similarities in Varney and Stallone, and they were like, you know what? If Stallone can make a jail movie, we should put Ernest in jail. And that's how this movie
That's the
made.
crazy part of this, because I think eventually Ernest got to space, right? I think there's he didn't do space.
Ernest, there was a film that was in production called Ernest Spaced Out, but it never came to fruition. You know what that movie ended up turning into from rumors?
What?
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. That makes sense. Yeah. I will say, man, this movie, it's not really high on my meter. I mean, it can be entertaining, but there is some interesting stuff going on in here. Like, especially that opening sequence. Like, if you look at what's happening there, that is kind of crazy, because Ernest gets electrocuted accidentally while he's trying to wash this floor. And there's some crazy stuff, just what I know about movie making, that had to go to recreate that set. Like, at one point, he's on the ceiling. Like the effects work is crazy. Cabinets are moving. Yeah. There's objects being attracted to him. At one point, these knives, everything's sharp in the office is drawn to his body, and he puts up and blocks it, and it stabs through the wood. So that's really a really cool sequence, man. Watching that happen in the beginning of this film.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I like a lot of the set pieces, because, of course we get the bank crazy, but I really like how they gave us this hyper reality jail. This jail looks like no other jail, especially when it comes to the look of the guards with this like fluorescent look. They almost look like kind of like neon M. Bisons.
Yeah, that's what they look like. Raul Julia in the Street Fighter movie, man. Like, shoulder pads, if you just mad pink. I'm like, yo, what is
like, you're like Super Street Fighter, where you can change the wardrobe, and then of course like with the green for the inmates and stuff. But what also really worked for me was these absurd over the top props, like Ernest carving a gun out of the soap.
The old lady scene too, man.
Yeah,
and then it's funny because that dude almost lets him out, and then
the ball and chain drop.
Where were the ball and chain? Was that on his butt?
Nah, the ball was the breast. Yeah, man. But then of course, and we touched on it, of course, just Ernest's like crazy house that just looks, it looks like somewhere fun to hang out. And it was funny because when Ernest does get out of jail, and he goes first gets back home, and Nash kind of like remodeled his house. He's, oh man, Elvis Presley came through and redecorated my house. Like he was blown that, all his gadgets and stuff weren't there. So, I think that, the setting really does enhance the character arc with what we get from Ernest, and just the absurdity that these movies offer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is a nutty endeavor, man. He would go on to do a bunch of these, man. I'm not sure which one this was in the series. But
Goes to Jail was third.
But the crazy part was these films weren't very they weren't that made very expensively, but they were very profitable, for the company to produce them, because what's happening, you get your theatrical run, which probably wasn't that impressive, but these things were getting rented left and right. They were getting TV deals to get shown on cable television at the time. So he had a really lucrative career, man, playing this character.
Yeah, well, to your point, this one came in on a $9 million budget. It grossed $25 million and was the second highest grossing film on the franchise. The first being, of course, Ernest Goes to Camp. You know what I'm saying? And then after this four movie wave, then he ended up signing a deal with Disney, and that's where he went all over the place. He went to Africa, he went on a basketball team, there was some kind of water one. They're just Ernest was going everywhere under the sun. Now, of course, the stories kind of faltered, and I think the Ernest character, he didn't carry the same fan base. These
didn't feel as earnest as other efforts.
These ones are beloved. They are nostalgic, and they remind us, those of us that were around at the time when these did come out. They just hit on a different level, because Ernest was just, he was new, he was unique, and it was fun. It was fun on a different level, different style of comedy that just in today's market, just like you said, slapstick comedy is just kind of a lost art. These are like watching like live action animated cartoon characters, you know what I mean? And the music really adds and intensifies that as well, with still kind of giving a little bit of extra to the character arcs as well, the way that a good score always does when a movie needs it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think we could wrap this guy up, man. I don't know, man. I can't really say, like, if you're missing, a space in your movie catalog. I feel like most people have seen an Ernest film, you know what I'm saying? This is one of the better ones if you are going to go down that route. I don't think they're high art or anything, but these are fun things you could put on as background viewing, or and just enjoy the nostalgia feel of this era, because I don't think films are getting made like this, man. Even the modern comedies seem like they're too rooted in a realism that really makes it hard for things to stand out and be repeatedly watchable, or even to get even as outrageous as this nowadays, man,
Or they lean more into the darker comedy, which I love me a dark comedy, I do. But sometimes it's just like lighthearted, funny is needed at times. You know what I'm saying? It's uplifting, you know what I'm saying? When you maybe have things going on in your life and you just want something like goofy to watch. Yeah, to anyone who hasn't seen it, you want a couple laughs, and this is one you can watch with the family, man. Everyone has a good time and, just enjoy what you see on screen.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to be out of here. Make sure you check us out on TikTok. We over there too, man. And you catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram. And we're going to be back soon.
And this is Bobby Blockbuster. As always, you can catch me on the next show.
Peace. What was that shit the dude used to do on the dating game? He'd be like, see you in 2 and 2. Like it was like a 2 minutes and 20 seconds for commercial breaks.
I don't know.
Chuck Woolery.
Chuck Woolery. What did he do? Yeah, something like that.